The autonomous municipal government of Sucre and the tourism department present Sucre, discovering the amazing tourist city. The city has history on its streets, magnificent walls, gates, coat of arms, and its temples' veiled gables. The square, Pedro Ansúrez, where the Silver Valley was founded, has its own notable attractiveness. The beauty of the whitest city in America can be seen from its viewpoint. The University Mayor Real and Pontificia of San Francisco Javier, founded in the year 1624, was the cradle of the American dream of emancipation. Walking by the center of the city, people get impacted by the beauty of the main square, 25 de Mayo. Around the square, it can be seen the cathedral, the municipal government of Sucre, the city government palace, and the famous Liberty House that was part of the university building and Jesuit convent. The private Jesuit chapel was the place where the Independence Act was signed on August 25th in the year 1825. Sucre has a strong preference for music and art. The traditional cueca and bailecito are danced with grace and elegance. In the mid-morning, it is inevitable to have some traditional empanadas or delicious chuquisaqueño sausages. The city is dominated by its beautiful churches, such as San Lazaro Church, which was built a few years after the city foundation, being at the time the principal church. The cathedral of Renaissance style was later enriched with Baroque style and Baroque mestizo additions. Its high tower is impressive and it is crowned by a huge first-sphere clock. The Chapel of Guadalupe Virgin shelters the painting of the patroness saint of Sucre, painted by Fray Diego de Ocaña. Nowadays, the painting was reinforced by a gold and silver plate, leaving from the original painting the faces and hands of the Virgin and Child. The mantle and clothing are covered with pearls, diamonds, emeralds, and tapas, donated by a Catholic faithful since the 16th century. La Merced Church highlights for its climbs that are recent on the sides of the top side of the roof, as well as for its bell gables that run parallel to the principal aisle. San Felipe de Neri Church looks like an impregnable fort, built with stones brought from the bottom of Churruquella Hill. The roof is outflanked by two octagonal towers. Its terraces can be considered for a walk and to have a splendid panorama of the city. The beautiful San Francisco Church. Its high altar is blade carved and gold painted. Its cedar wood panel has Murillo style. One of the two bell towers hosts the historical Bell of Liberty that gave the alarm call to the Revolution of May 1809 to participate in the social movement that the history recognizes as the first shout for independence in America. San Miguel Church is the oldest Jesuit church and which stunning tower adjoins the University of San Francisco Javier. Santa Monica Church shows on its front door a mestizo indigenous Baroque style of unique characteristics. San Agustin Church displays on its principal altar an immense painting made by the Italian artist Rollini and which represents Maria Auxiliadora. The Rotonda Chapel was built by the President of Bolivia, Don Manuel Isidoro Belsu, at the end of the boulevard in gratitude to the Carmen Virgin who miraculously saved his life. Sucre has places where the time seems to have stopped. Some enclosed monasteries remain immutable. This is the case of Santa Teresa and Santa Clara Convent, that allow visitors only until their second floor of their main courtyard. Experts have found under a rear whitewash beautiful paintings. The convent of Our Lady of Santa Ana of the Zion Hill has a church of a sole nave that consists of a portico of pilasters, a triangular front, and 2 towers on both sides. Inside the convent, it can be found cedar-carved chairs of the 17th century that belonged to the chore and was part of the Alto Peru school. The convent consists of 3 clusters and an additional one known as Yard of Orange. Currently, it works as a museum where paintings and religious masterpieces can be seen. Its first courtyard is made of linen archery. The millenary cedar is impressive. It has an immense diameter and gigantic proportions. Local beliefs say that going around it will accomplish the most desired wishes. Santa Clara Museum holds a group of great works, paintings and anonymous sculptures, as well as furniture, silver crafts, diverse liturgical objects and musical instruments, such as an amazing organ of the 17th century. The Ecclesiastical Museum holds a religious collection that consists of pyxes and golden chalices with jewelry on them, crosses and censers. The art gallery displays works of European artists such as Bidi and Francisco de Zurbarán, as well as native painters such as Holguín, among others. The Charcas museums are located in the House of the Gran Poder. The Anthropological Archaeological Museum displays a cultural pre-Hispanic chronology of Chuquisaca pre-Hispanic, lithic artifacts, weapons, and tools. Pre-Hispanic skulls and mummies leave an impression in the anthropology room. The Modern and Contemporary Art Gallery displays paintings of prominent Bolivian and Latin American artists. The Costumbreries Museum, known as Casa Deza, recreates the domestic life of old Sucre. The Valenzuela Museum possesses different style furniture, beveled mirrors, marble sculptures, alabaster and bronze, baccarat and rock crystal chandelier, as well as fine pieces of crystal of Murano and porcelain vases. The General Cemetery of Sucre is a real historical patrimony and one of the tourist attractions that deserves the attention of visitors. The order and constructive harmony predominate in ornamented mausoleums, sumptuous graves, and ancient trees, populating the space that hosts important characters of art, science, and history. Since the 19th century, Sucre started to introduce new architectonical styles, decorating the city with mansions, obelisks, arches of victory, and even a small replica of the Eiffel Tower, resulting in a clear sign of French influence. The Gran Mariscal de Ayacucho Theater, denominated on its opening as Lyric Theater, entails decorative elements of Art Deco and Classicist style. The impressive edifice of the Supreme Court was conceived in a neoclassic style under the standards of the French Academy. Beautiful and of a great extension is Bolivar Park, known as the Boulevard or El Prado. It was modified in mid-17th century. The small palace of the Guerrero, conceived as a country house similar to an Italian village, is the only isolated building with 4 facades that can be found in the city. The owner was President Mamerto Urriolagoitia. This building was obtained by the municipal government, and it will soon become the International House of Culture. Its principal area is accessed by a door with columns. It has an inside courtyard with a view to the octagonal viewpoint that is located over the living room. Fact or fantasy? It's been mentioned that noise can be heard as well as doors that open and close without any reason. The chandelier moves back and forth. The furniture and trunks move from one side to another. Are these just castles and palaces fairy tales? The Glorieta Castle is one of the most curious buildings of the Republican period. It was built by a request made by Prince Francisco de Argandoña and his wife Clotilde Urioste de Argandoña. It is a group of different pieces which were made in a different style. It has a Romanesque octagonal tower crowned by a crystal scenic overlook, a body of Byzantine height, an Arabian portico, and a chapel with a Gothic bell tower. The gardens were built the same way of the famous of Versailles in France. To the west of the city of Sucre, in the 8th district, the attractive offer is varied, a combination of nature, ethnography, culture, and archaeology. In the Halca area, it can be seen living cultures that preserve their culture, tradition, and customs in general. They are characterized by their own identity translated in their music, dances, and clothing. Every opportunity deserves the use of a specific musical instrument according to the season as a way to thank Mother Earth for the flowering period of the crop fields, harvest, and others. The Erke is specific of the carnival season. The garment is of great beauty, with fabrics of fine texture. The Halka hat is almost lost among colorful wool that decorate it as an example of the outstanding textile activity they do for a living. These textiles are among the most beautiful ones in Bolivia. Their main characteristics are their expression and design, such as continuous flow with broken edges and a confusing perception with human beings and white animals. The Maragua synclinal is amazing in the distance. The scenery of the area varies according to its altitude. While Taunaca and Tumpeca display green fields, Potolo, Managua, and Quilaquila display more dominant gray colors. In this area, the visitor has comfortable cottages built under vernacular architecture and can enjoy all the services of lodging and food. Thanks to the geographical area, many regions have implemented the practice of extreme sports such as rock climbing and paragliding. The Cretaceous deposits that can be found in the municipality of Sucre have an insuperable paleontological wealth. The paleontological deposit of La Calancha, with an average age of 475 to 458 million years, shows sediments that contain marks of train of waves known as ondulitas. These tracks are more correctly called ice-filled holes are of diverse size, without any logic sequence. They have different shapes of sedimological textures known as lodecasts. The Rumi Rumi deposit has a great quantity of typical fossils that belong to the lower Devonian of the Ikla Formation, such as the crinoids, conulates, and trilobites. The dinosaur tracks deposit at Churuquella Hill that was discovered by the University Scientific Society of Paleontology was validated by specialists of the Paleontological Museum of Neuquén, Argentina. The sequence of paleontological findings allowed to glimpse a possible correlation between the levels of footprints found on the rocky wall of Calorco and the Sicacica and Churuquella Hills and intermediate locations. They may correspond to the same geological formation involving a deposit of fossils footprints of giant dimensions. The dinosaur footprints of Calorco is considered the biggest footprints deposit worldwide. It has about 5,000 footprints of dinosaurs of 332 species. Around 300 meters far from Calorco, it is located a wonderful municipal Cretaceous park, a tourist building that contains extraordinary paleontological copies made with the greatest scientific accuracy and located in one of the most authentic natural settings. Genuine scale models of abelisaurs, dinosaurs, iguanodonti, titanosaurs, marine reptiles, and many others make this unusual travel an unforgettable adventure.
Al pie del Sucre, ya creció mis años feliz. La Recoleta y el Sica Sica, testigos
Sucre, to discover the unexpected.
llevo en mi sangre la dicha de regalarte esta cueca, de cantarte tierra hermosa, mi Sucre tú eres la gloria. De cantarte tierra hermosa, mi Sucre tú eres la gloria.